Once, long ago, there was a dog named Max, a German shepherd with a heart full of loyalty, but sadly, no one seemed to notice. His life had become one of quiet neglect. His owners no longer played with him, and the streets felt emptier each passing day. One evening, Max decided he'd had enough. The comfort of his home had long lost its warmth, and so he wandered deep into the jungle. There, in the shadows of the towering trees, he sought only to survive. Days passed, and Max grew lean, scavenging scraps, his coat dull and matted. But one day, as he walked through the dense underbrush, his nose twitched, and the familiar scent of meat filled the air. His stomach growled, loud enough to shake the stillness of the jungle. He padded forward, following the trail until his eyes fell upon a pile of discarded bones and meat. Max's tail began to wag, his heart racing. It was a feast, something he hadn't seen in so long. Without a second thought, he dove into the pile, tearing at the flesh with hunger-driven enthusiasm. "Oh, this is heaven," he barked, his voice echoing through the trees. "Dinner at last." But, unbeknownst to him, a pair of glowing golden eyes watched from the shadows, piercing through the dark like the moonlight through a storm. Leo, the lion, was starving. His mane, usually thick and proud, hung limp from days of hunger. His stomach rumbled, an echoing growl that sounded like thunder. He saw Max feasting and couldn't resist. A fresh, juicy dog. What could be better? With silent grace, Leo moved closer, each step a whisper in the night. But just as he was about to pounce, Max's sharp instincts kicked in. He froze, his eyes locking onto the lion's. His heart raced, not from fear, but from a rush of cunning. This wasn't just a meal to survive, it was a battle of wits. Max cleared his throat, puffed out his chest, and called out with a voice full of mock pride, "Ah, that lion meat was just delightful. A bit tough, but with the right seasoning, it could have been a real treat. Shame there's no second helping. Could have used a proper dessert, you know?" Leo froze, his body rigid, his heart skipping a beat. Lion meat? His eyes widened. Did he hear that right? The dog was talking about eating lions? His confidence wavered, replaced by doubt. Does this dog eat lions? His mind raced. No, that couldn't be true. But what if it was? He turned and bolted, faster than a deer running from a hunter, tail tucked between his legs. Now the jungle fell into a heavy silence, but not for long. From behind a tree, Felix the fox watched the entire spectacle, his tail twitching in amusement. He couldn't believe what he had just witnessed. The mighty lion, scared off by a dog? Felix laughed to himself, a sharp, mischievous laugh. Oh, that lion got played. But if that dog is so clever, maybe I can turn this into a feast for myself. Felix scampered after Leo, finding him not far off, panting heavily, his pride bruised. "Your Majesty, you've been tricked. That dog's bluffing. If we work together, we can take him down, share the feast between us." Leo, still shaken, growled, "Are you sure? What if he really does eat lions?" Felix flashed a grin full of charm. "Come on, Leo. Do I look like the type to lie? We've got this, no problem." Leo hesitated, his stomach growling louder than his doubts. "Fine, let's do it. Together." And so they turned, marching back toward Max, who by now was sitting contentedly, his meal almost finished. He saw the two approaching and let out a long sigh. The fox, Felix, had already spilled the beans. Time for Plan B. Max stood up, stretched, and then, without missing a beat, shouted loudly enough for the jungle to hear, "Where's that lazy fox I sent to bring me another lion? I swear, if he doesn't hurry up, I'll have to handle this mess myself. Leo's legs froze. Another lion? The fear crept into his chest like ice. He looked at Felix, his eyes wide. Another lion? You said he was bluffing. Felix, his confidence crumbling, stammered, well, maybe he was exaggerating? Leo's patience snapped. His tail lashed out, and he turned on his heels, sprinting faster than he ever had before, leaving Felix standing there in the dust. "You're on your own, Fox," he shouted over his shoulder. Now, it was just Max and Felix. The fox gulped, realizing he was alone with the clever dog. Max gave him a look that sent a chill down Felix's spine. Felix tried to laugh it off, his eyes darting around for an escape. "Hey, that was some top-notch acting back there. Honestly, you're a genius," Max snarled, baring his teeth. "Out of my sight, Fox, before I make you my dessert." Felix didn't need another warning. He dashed off into the jungle, tail between his legs, vowing never to mess with Max again. As Max settled down to finish his meal, he chuckled to himself. "Not bad for a house dog," he muttered, his tail wagging contentedly.
So, my friend, what's the lesson here? It's not always about strength, but about wit and confidence. Be wary of those who smile but hide their true intentions. And remember, sometimes bravery is just a well-timed bluff. Keep your wit sharp, and you'll always find a way out. Okay then, again, meet with a story like this, full of advice for life.